Woo! Happy Friday, everybody. This is Joel from maravillaNayarit.com. Bienvenidos to the live stream. Talk markets. T-O-C-K. Tick tock, tick tock. The clock has been ticking, and we're in some turmoil. The turmoil is coming. I did a video a couple weeks ago, and I posted something on Facebook. It was ridiculous because I have all the audio. I should actually replay that. I'll have to publish that. But I didn't hit record for the video, so it was ridiculous. So I did this whole presentation on the Mexican Peso, kind of where I thought the market was going. And then when I was going to publish it, I'm like, wow, I just got audio. I got no video, and I was like sharing screens, and I was going to like republish it, but like the screen sharing was like part of it and kind of just like messed it all up. Anyways, I got the shades on, the hat on. The future's so bright, everybody. We got to wear shades. It really is. I mean, we are in for some chaotic times, in my opinion. And it's not just today, it's not just tomorrow, but for the next several years, there's going to be chaos. But with chaos comes opportunity, so that's the way I like to look at it. I don't know. I like volatility in the market. It's not good for many people who take more of a buy and hold strategy, which, I do buy and I do hold, but I also treat my portfolios a little bit differently, right? So I do trade. I do take defensive positions. I try to balance almost like a hedge fund, but a very small hedge fund. Julie and I were joking. We've started to watch Billions. I started watching it years ago and never finished it. And we got through a bunch of various Netflix series. Peaky Blinders was the last one. Amazing. If you haven't watched Peaky Blinders, you got to watch it. We started watching it again a couple of years ago and got through 2 or 3 episodes, and I don't know, we just lost interest. And then someone told me you have to, by order the fucking Peaky Blinders, you got to actually watch it and do a whole series or a whole season. Anyways, we did the whole season by the order of the Peaky Blinders, and we quite liked it. Jillian was actually sad when it was over. So if you haven't watched Peaky Blinders, please give it a go. We really enjoyed it. Anyways, we started watching Billions, and it's about a guy who's this like hedge fund guy. He's a billionaire. And I mean, at the end of the day, they're just like kind of all crooks. He runs this fund, but everyone's a crook. The DA is a crook. The lawyers are crooks. They're all kind of crooks. The whole system is rigged. And that's what we're kind of like dealing with. So anyways, we have to invest our hard-earned money within a rigged system, basically a casino. So sometimes we have to do kind of the opposite of what the herd is doing, and we have to figure out ways to protect ourselves. So really, we have been doing that with my accounts. And matter of fact, this week, the broad markets are really, really down. Everything from especially the semiconductor space, the financials, the KRE, which is the regional banks, everything is just getting thrown out. The baby's getting thrown out with the bathwater. But my portfolio is up about 2%. I'm going to do a little screen share with y'all. And, it's hard for me to chat on the chat, but I do see Steve By and I do see Scott Fox. Hola, guys. Welcome to the live stream. So I'll look at what you guys are posting there, but I won't type back, because it's just too hard for me. Plus, I got the mic on my keyboard. I'm still working on the whole studio setup here. Probably when I have some time at the end of September, we'll get the real studio set up for the Narco Picnic podcast and all the other live streams. I was going to present the screen here, so let's do a little share screen. And let's see here. Let me go to. First I'm going to start here. All right, if you guys could just let me know if you can actually see my. Oh no, I can see it now that I come back here. Anyways, this is some charts. I call this my swing trades. It's kind of like things I'm involved with either on a short-term or a long-term basis. And let's explain a little bit about how I hedge my bets. And I'm very, like most of you know, I'm very long on gold. I'm long on silver, both physical and companies. My two biggest holdings are Kinross Gold and Barrick, and I've been trading them. So, I trade them up. So as my portfolio is increasing, I I cash in some chips, right? Like it's like sitting at the poker table. You gotta sometimes get up from your seat, cash in some chips, and come back to fight another day. So I do that. That's a strategy I take. I try to get like consistent base hits and like build up my gains. And probably over the last 3 months, I've been building up pretty significant cash reserve. So as of today, it was probably over 50% was in cash, either in US dollars or treasuries. And I basically sold some of the treasuries today, and I took a big position in Intel. So that's the first one I'm going to chat about. This one's pretty interesting. Intel got whacked. Okay. So why did Intel got whacked? Well, they wanted it to get whacked. Intel had to get whacked. It's one of these companies been around since 1968. That was when I was born. I mean, that's how old Intel is. Became public, I think, in the 70s. Let's go back here. Yeah, 1972 went public. And you can see Intel rode this whole technology boom all the way up to the dot-com bubble, where it reached almost $76 a share, so maybe a little bit more. And then it collapsed along with all the other dot-commers, kind of like found some support. And it's just been sitting in this channel for a long time, found kind of like a bottom. And it's just been slowly making its way up to where it is today. But it's a legacy company. It's a big company. Kind of liken it to a government organization, bureaucracy, right? Lots of bureaucracy. Too many employees, very bloated, shitty margins. Their costs are way too high, so they got to get their act together. But they have been doing some interesting things in around the AI space, specifically with putting considerable development into the AI space, which has really been a negative factor on their margins. But what they didn't do was get their fucking house in order. Like, they still are so bloated. They still have too many employees who are, useless employees. Like, they're just kind of hanging out in a desk, not doing too much, probably just looking at Facebook or looking at TikTok videos. Anyways, they're going to lay off 15,000 people this year. So that's by the end of 2024 and into 2025. They're looking at an overall 15% or $15 billion a year program to cut costs. So that's going to go right to the bottom line. Now, the trick is, can Intel, at the same time that they're cutting costs, increase sales? Because their sales have been slowly decreasing. The earnings came out yesterday. They pretty well were in line with sales numbers, but they shit the bed on earnings. They basically lost money on, let's call it, their earnings per share. So the market spanked them, and let's just look at the daily here. You can see what happened. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare for Intel. So Intel got completely fucking smoked. It was as low as $20 and I think it's 52 cents or something, like $20.31 today. And sometimes it's very difficult to do this, but I stepped in front of the falling knife, and all of my family, I manage all of my family's various investment accounts, my kids, my wife, and I do manage a small account for my mom. But we stepped in front of a falling knife. I still think Intel's got a way to go down. Going to be adding to our position here at $19.24. And then I sure hope the market gets completely smoked so that Intel goes down to $14.69. That's my next buy area. And I'm not scared of this. Like, if Intel, I mean, God willing, goes down to $9.99, that is a back up the truck. Like, if it goes to $9.99, go back to the monthly chart here, that's kind of getting you back into 1995, 1996, where it saw its big breakout and it took off during that whole dot-com boom. So like anything, it's been around since 1968. Intel ain't going anywhere, okay? They are still doing $65 billion a year in sales. They're trading at 1.7 or 1.65 times sales. Don't completely quote me on it, but that's kind of around the ballpark. Whereas if you look at NVIDIA is trading at something like 30-something times sales. Now, NVIDIA is definitely the king, and the king is not going to be dethroned anytime soon. They've got their shit together, and their margins are huge, something like 40-45% gross margin, and their operating margin is something in the mid-20s. So they are just smoking in a good way. Now, Intel did get a little bit smoked and did pick up a little, NVIDIA did get smoked as well with this little correction. We did pick up a little bit in NVIDIA, but I'm more interested in a little bit of NVIDIA. I think obviously NVIDIA's got a lot of room to grow, but I'm more interested in like, where's the value and where's the turnaround story? Now, that's not to say that there's not risk investing in Intel. Maybe it'll go sideways for 5 or 6 years. I just don't think so. Like our bet, what we're betting on here is Intel finds some support, and then it's going to get its act together. It's going to be jumping on the AI train, and the AI boom is just beginning, my friends. So it's a matter of like picking the stocks. It's going to be a stock pickers market, not necessarily getting involved in the ETFs as much. I think it's going to be a stock pickers market. So like, what am I betting on? I'm putting most of my bets on Intel. And obviously, we're hedging the bets with some other things that we do. But I like Intel. And if you can kind of look back to 1997, there's this huge area of support. So if she gets down to that $19.32, it ain't waltzing through. That's the 80-20 rule. So there's a 20% chance that it can. And then if it does, I think it's kind of look out below to that, this next level down to 14, 15 bucks. And then if she gets through that, just because the whole market is collapsing, it could go to $10. And I would hate to say it, but I would kind of be happy to see that. We're not buying any of the stuff on margin. We're owning shares, and we own long-term calls. So we're involved in calls that are dated to the end of 2026, and that's how we're doing our Intel play. How have I hedged my bets? So how have we been able to get up 2% in the last week? And it is because this kind of chart looks a little crazy. There's lots of different lines. I should have cleaned it up before I presented it. But anyways, I was looking at the banks, for example. I'm going to go to the daily chart because the monthly doesn't really represent my trade. But I was looking at this 57.33 as a stone cold short. So that was where I first entered. And this is where it gets scary, right? Because like my number was completely wrong. It did come up into 57.33 and it retracted. So I did make a little bit of money there. I held my trailer and then I got stopped out when she closed above. So I made a little bit of money on this little trade here. And then I just kind of watched. And then I got back in at 58.78. And then I added here finally at 59.44, and I had a hard stop. If it was closing above 59.41, sorry, not 59.44, 59.41 daily, I was out completely. But no, she turned around, back tested, gave me a little bit of a scare, and thought, well, maybe that freaking thing. I was like cursing those banksters, right? But then the next day, bang, and she dropped like a freaking rock. So a lot of the stocks that we're holding, like some of our gold plays, some of our other long-term holdings that kind of got thrown out with the bathwater this week, which are down, we were able to mitigate that by taking this short position. So I'm pretty well almost completely out of it. Today I have a small trailer and I have a small long position using calls, considering that this is probably going to bounce next week. There might be one more down leg Monday, and then we're going to have our turnaround Tuesday. Is likely the 80-20 scenario here for KRE in the broader market. The other one was the semis. I mean, look, there is an AI boom happening. It ain't going anywhere. It's not ending today. This is not the busting of the balloon. This is just a little deflation of the balloon. had to let a little bit of that air, a little bit of that steam, right? But I was watching this trend line, and when she came back to back test here, we loaded up on some puts, and we started selling our puts all the way down to this point, and pretty well got out here. I did not anticipate this leg down, and a matter of fact, I entered some long position here, so I'm a little bit down on that, but overall, like really up on the puts. So it doesn't matter. My long position could go to zero, and the overall trade is still to the positive. Obviously, I don't want that long position to go to zero. I have until kind of like mid-September to see it all play out. But I am prepared to add to that long position down here at 211.60, unless the market opens Monday below. Then I'm going to be waiting for lower numbers, probably in that 202 to $200 level before I add back into my position. Then that semis should bounce. Unless, of course, they completely pull the rug out, which can happen. It's happened before, but what goes down must go up. What goes up must come down. But anyways, I just wanted to show you a little bit of how we hedge. Another hedge, this was the third hedge, was the home builders, which has been ridiculous. I mean, we're definitely going into recession in the United States. Everyone knows that. So they like pump this shit because it's easily pumpable, because it's very... it's like it's low volume, right? So it doesn't take a lot to get these things moving, and it's very easy to manipulate. So if you look at the daily, I'm sitting on the monthly right now. Actually, no, I'm back to the daily. She had a pretty good move, and I was kind of like watching this trend line as kind of like the all-in movement, but we took a short position here at 120.68. I wrote it down. We've cleared half of our position, so we got a trailer for the balance, and for the half the trailer is target 1 here, and half the trailer, the balance is target 2. And it may not get to that. She may bounce Monday and continue up to this trend line, and that position might get wiped out or pretty close. But we have enough profit book that doesn't matter about the trailer. The trailer could go to zero because we use options. Options can go to zero, but we'll still be ahead in the trade. Obviously, we don't want that. We want XHB to continue to at least target 1. Which I think is probable, and if not, target 2 is a little bit of a dream right now, but it is possible. So that's kind of it. So that's kind of how I manage risk. By hedging bets is like buying insurance using options. And before you go getting into any kind of options play, definitely take an options course, study options. Use one of those free test accounts like at RBC or at Questrade, where you can use play money and play for about a year. You should play for about a year on options before you start using your own money on it, because you'll make a lot of mistakes, and you can lose a lot of money on options. You can also make a lot of money on options, but the trick is to not get greedy on options and use them as the leverage that they were meant to be. But don't get sucked in by the banksters and the trip trap fool and frustrate crew, which are the guys who control the market, who basically their whole purpose in life is to make us all look like idiots and to lose in their casino, right? So we got to figure out how we can navigate their casino and scrape a little bit of bits of profit. Anyways, I'm going to... actually, you know what? Before I do that, I'm going to just give me a second here. I'm just going to reload my Questrade account. I'm going to show you. Why is it not loading here? Give me a second here. Questrade.com. And I'm just trying to type with the microphone in my way here. Let's see if I can get back in here. So, anyways, if you have any questions, let's see what. While I'm waiting here. Wow, we got some questions. Everyone could see. Yes, Andre, the stock market is taking a hit. Yes, it is an opportunity to load up. I would be careful though. We still have a lot of cash. Okay, follow what Warren Buffett is doing. He's been selling banks for the last 3 months. His biggest position was I forget. It's I should know this one. Anyways, his largest position in an American bank. He's been basically he's completely out of it, I think, as of today, which is pretty interesting because the financial sector's fucked. Not that they can't pump it, but long term's not looking bueno. Yeah, I guess there's going to be mergers and acquisitions. That's the only thing that kind of maybe bothers me about the Intel trade is when you're looking at companies like Nvidia that are worth $2.5 trillion. Like to buy Intel is like me going out and buying a 12 pack of beer, right? It's like nothing. It's a drop in the bucket. And we do own physical shares, so obviously if they're going to buy, there's going to be a premium. But we also own most of our trade strategy is based on long-term options, and so I do not want Intel to be bought out. I don't want them to merge. I don't want them to be bought out. I'd love them to get their shit together and become the leader that they can become. And I think that's really what's going to happen um, on that one. And that's what I hope. Let's see, what else do you got? Going to be in Joel neighborhood this. Well, Keith, you got to come say hi. Let's go for a beer. And no problem. If you guys got to bail, you got to bail. Anyways, I'm going to share one more screen here. I'm going to show you my mom's account. This is the account it's just a small account I manage for my mom. And it'll give you an idea of kind of like my strategy. Let's just see here. So let's go to Questrade. I'm going to share. And give me 1 second. Questrade's kind of annoying sometimes. Okay, so I'm in her margin account. I started like 20 grand with her about a year and a half ago. So it's up to 29,765. So pretty good. It was over 30,000 a couple days ago. But of course, we have taken a little bit of hit on things. But again, we're up on a lot, and we're sitting on some cash. So total cash position in her account is $6,100 Canadian. It was maybe a little over 10,000 today, so I deployed definitely some money. Where did I put it? Put it into AG, First Majestic, which was getting crushed. Again, I don't know about First Majestic. I have mixed feelings about it, but I kind of still have belief in their CEO, Keith. That he's going to like turn this thing around. Really good assets. The company has really, really good assets. They got to get their costs again, similar to Intel, but on a smaller scale. Got to get their costs in line, and maybe Keith's got to stop flying around the world in his private jet and start thinking about the company. But we've got a position for $7 calls expiring in January 2025. We've already booked some profit, so we could potentially take a loss on this one if these remaining options went to zero. But I really think First is going to bounce next week. The other position been trading in and out of GDX, which is a gold ETF, and you can see. At one time, we've closed over 100 shares of that for a small amount of profit. And so you look at this, it's all kind of like base hits. So this is how I treat my mom's account. Just look for a bunch of base hits. She had calls dated to 2026 with Barrick Gold, and we've closed over $1,200 worth of profit on those, and we're holding a trailer of 2. And what I'm hoping is gold or Barrick is going to get smacked in this downturn so that we can add back into this position and ride this out to the end or the beginning of 2026. Very, very bullish on gold, very bullish on Barrick. Added a small Intel position for her today, bought December 26 calls at $23. So meaning by the end of 2026, Intel has got to be at $23 plus what she paid. So she paid $5.30. So it's got to be at $28.30 for her to break even. And my bet on this is we're looking at Intel to break over that $100 easily on this AI boom. So I'm hoping Intel goes down further because I'm going to continue to add to this 26 position. Kinross was another one. At one time had 15 options. We've closed over $1,500 in profit and riding a trailer at 400. Man, anyways, I'm not going to deal with this. I hate Questrade. It does this all the time. I'm going to stop sharing my screen because it's going to take me too much time to load that back up. I like Questrade, but it always does it. Logs out all the time, and then all the trades, or you want to like execute an important trade, and it's kind of a bit of a shit show there sometimes. Anyways, the bottom line is what I use for a strategy is just very, very cautious, and I take my base hits. And where a lot of us retail traders get it wrong is we get emotional. So we stick to what we think should happen, not what is actually happening, and we get greedy. So don't get greedy. Book your profits and get rid of your risk, and then hold those trailers, and don't try to like double or triple shit. Like if like this account is up 50% in maybe just over a year and a half, that is a good record. And we're in a market turmoil right now, and I've managed to hold the account steady. So this is what you guys should be doing too. Again, this is not investment advice, not giving any specific investment advice, but I am saying, think about your trades, think about it a little more cautiously. Anyways, I'm going to end this video on the dollar scene here. So I am going to share again. I'm going to talk about the Mexican peso, where I think this thing is going. I did buy pesos today. So like 10 grand, 10,000 US dollars worth of pesos. Yeah, I thought it was a good time to maybe do that. Let's make sure that this is presenting. There is the currency charts. But anyways, and I was talking about this 2 weeks ago, man, when this little pullback came, I was like, guys, you got to get back in around the 1773, and she should bounce. And man, she bounced. So I did exit here, 10 grand, 10,000 US dollars worth of exchange into pesos. I think we could hit this 1952 on Monday. If the market falls Monday, if it opens lower, the peso is going to 1952. If the market recovers on Monday, we're going to come back to that 1850. But regardless, I think we're going to be in this 1952 to 1850, okay, for the next little bit. But the moment the market starts going back into turmoil, she's going to break above 1952. Once it closes above 1952, we're going to be in the zone of 1950 to maybe 2150. And the people that I am talking to that are in the know, they want to see the peso at $20.50. So that's in this area here. That's where they'd love to see it, because they think that is a very competitive place for the peso that keeps everything where it should be. It makes Mexican products that much more competitive, but it doesn't have that huge of an impact on inflation. They don't want to go see it into that 24, 25, although I would love to see that happen in a flash crash. I mean, if the peso goes to that 24, 26, 25, that is when like you should be like completely buying US dollars back. And because that's going to be kind of like the top. For my Canadian friends out there, I don't know what to say, man. I'm not happy. Yeah, I'm probably losing the internet again here. Can you guys still hear me? Someone give me a yeah. This is the problem sometimes. Hey? Anyways, I think I'm back. And if I wasn't, wait, my internet's been going out on and off today. What can you do? US Canadian dollar, no bueno. That is not looking good. I would have liked to have seen this back test here to like the $1.37, but it kind of came to this. It took off before that. That's very bullish for the US dollar and very bearish for Canada. And I think that if I'm going to look more at the monthly chart here, and it's taking forever. This area here, and I talked about it in past videos, if it breaks out, is going up $1.60. And if the markets continue to sag, the Canadian dollar is going $1.60. If it gets above $1.60 and starts closing weekly and then monthly above $1.60, watch out. That's when we're looking at kind of an imminent collapse of the Canadian dollar. And that's where you guys want to protect yourself right now. Like, do not be in Canadian dollars. Get out of your Canadian cash. Again, this is not investment advice, but you'd be best to be sitting in the US dollar right now, or securities that are denominated in US dollars, or, I like gold, silver. I like where that is going. And that's where we got a lot of our money. In the gold silver play, as well as US dollars cash, and of course these trades that I've talked about. Anyways, I think that's about it, everybody. I'm going to call it a day. Happy Friday. It's beer o'clock. What time is it? It's 4:23. I think it's late enough for me to go make a cocktail. I'm going to go have a little swim in the pool. And on that note, thanks for joining us. Nos vemos. Hasta luego. And adios. Desde Bucerías, Mexico. And I know this music, for whatever reason, never plays well on the live stream, which is kind of annoying. Anyways, for what it's worth, have a listen. Adios.